in the primary. One of the things that voters have asked me frequently, why is it important that we vote in this primary? And I tell them this: voting in a primary does matter. Your voice and your vote are critical. And absentee ballots are mailed to you, which makes it convenient for you so that you can vote at home. You can sit around the table with your family members with their.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. At a time when Fridays feel like Mondays, but happy Friday to everyone. I want to thank Jay Gates for being here with us this morning to help interpret for those that are hearing impaired, and thank the entire team here who has helped us do this day after day here at Hamilton County. As always, we're going to start with the numbers. As of this morning, Hamilton County had 178 positive cases of COVID-19 in our county, 40 hospitalizations, and sadly, we have one more death to report, bringing the total number up to 3. This is sobering. These are very sobering numbers. But today we're going to talk a little bit about how the community is stepping up at a difficult time. So this morning, after I do a couple of announcements, we're going to hear from Moira Weir, who is with the United Way, to talk about the COVID-19 Regional Response Fund. And we're also going to hear from Tim McCartney, who is the interim director at JFS, and he's especially going to highlight the expansion of a PRC program. I'm going to let him expound on that and how we're trying to help residents in Hamilton County who are really struggling right about now and will continue to struggle through the next month or two. Before that, I have a few announcements. First off, you've probably heard the governor and Dr. Acton have extended the stay-at-home order until May 1st. Although challenging for all of us, the good news is that our efforts appear to be working to slow the spread of the virus and flatten the curve. So you know what that means. Wash your hands, practice safe distancing, and before you go out, ask, is it worth it? Next, as we've talked about in previous briefings, I've been asking the state with other county commissioners to take a stronger role in deciding which businesses can stay open. I'm happy to report that the new stay-at-home order includes a dispute resolution board, which is set up at the state, which will rule on which businesses can stay open and which cannot, to avoid disconnects between county health departments and city health departments who are asked or are tasked with enforcing the order. what was happening was we had businesses in one county that were allowed to stay open or being shut, and then the same kind of business in a different county being treated differently. And so we've asked the state for some continuity, and this is their response to that. So we believe this will be good for businesses, this will be good for employees in Hamilton County that have been struggling with this issue, to help provide some clarity for the local jurisdictions enforcing the order. I'd like to thank Governor DeWine for his responsiveness on this issue. So if you have questions about the stay-at-home order and need to access the Dispute Resolution Board, call the state hotline. I'm going to do it slowly for you, Jay. 1-833, the number 4, ask ODH. Thank you. A couple of other things before we get started with the meat of the day. So I was asked to read a statement from Spring Grove Cemetery. As you know, I've looked at the weather report. It's supposed to be a nice sunny weekend, I think and I hope. So I want to read a statement from Spring Grove because there's been a change at their facility. It was with a heavy heart that we announced today that we will be closing the gates of Spring Grove to non-essential traffic effective Wednesday, April 1st. We are truly disappointed. We simply had no choice. The combination of spring weather and the stay-at-home order has brought thousands of visitors to Spring Grove. Our roads were never designed to handle that volume of work vehicles, funeral processions, walkers, and bikers. We believe that the situation is no longer safe for our grieving families, our visitors, and our employees. They hope that the public can understand that they are working cemetery. They serve over 1,000 families every year. The families who just experienced a loss deserve to have a dignified, quiet atmosphere as they say goodbye to their loved ones. The cemetery will be open to the public during normal business on Sundays, as they do not typically have senior or services on those days. So again, that's a statement from Spring Grove. I hope you heed that directive as we work our way through this. Next, going to talk just a moment. We've talked before about the need for seniors in our community. They are a very vulnerable population. Many of them are staying home and self-isolating, to their credit, but some of them do not have the support system they need to just have the basics in their home, which are primarily meals and cleaning supplies. So these folks are hunkering down, and they're especially vulnerable. So the Council on Aging has been trying to address this issue, and we did have Suzanne Burke in here earlier in the week. But they're seeking additional corporate and individual donors to help put meals in the hands or on the doorsteps of seniors who are afraid to leave their homes or being advised not to leave their homes or to go out unnecessarily. Donations are tax deductible. A $50 donation will provide a 14-day shelf-stable meal box to a senior in need. So to donate, please go to help4seniors.org. The items they need especially are toilet paper and household cleaning items in addition to food. There is another initiative that COA is involved with in partnership with Frame USA. It's called Fill the Truck. Some of us have heard of this already, but the idea is to fill the truck with supplies for seniors, and you do it virtually, of course, or you can do it in person, but I'm going to advise you to do this virtually. So there is a website called fillthetruck.org where you can, again, you can donate money, you can buy something for a senior, purchase it from that website. There is a drop-off option, but I'm not going to focus on that because we really don't want people to stay at home. So please go to that site, fillthetruck.org, to help seniors in the community. Donations will be accepted through April 30th of 2020. And then lastly, 3CDC. Many of you know 3CDC. They are to be credited with much of the revitalization in Over the Rhine and in the downtown business area. They're very good friends of the county, the city, and all the local partners. And so they have stepped up to the plate and are providing two things. One, I'm just going to touch on it, and that is some tenant rent relief for their own tenants. 3CDC has a total of 78 tenants in the food and beverage and the retail and service sectors. And so they're providing some relief for those tenants. I'm not going to go into the details here because I assume that those tenants know who they are and they have been made aware of this relief. But I do want to say thank you to 3CDC for stepping up and helping at a really challenging time. They've got many partners, including the banks, that are helping them help their tenants make their way through this. The other thing they're doing, I do want to talk a little bit more about. And it is called, well, the idea is to not only provide rent relief to some of these tenants, but also for the community, because so many of you have said, how can we help? What can we do? We all love these restaurants. We all want them to be there when all of this is over. And so we are looking for ways to support the restaurants. And so one way is to order carryout. I did that last night on my way home, ordered carryout from one of my favorite restaurants, and just am trying to do what I can to help out. If we all did it, I think it would make a pretty big difference. Remember, of course, it's always carryout. But 3CDC has come up with a really innovative approach to trying to help here. So they have partnered with P&G and Empower to put a program in place related to gift cards. So I'm going to walk you through this real quick. So if you purchase a gift card for a restaurant, so the customer purchases the gift card from a downtown Cincinnati business. This is related to downtown because 3CDC operates in downtown. Customer emails a copy or picture of the receipt to support@3cdc.org. And then 3CDC will purchase a gift card of the same value. So if you buy a $50 gift card, they're going to buy a $50 gift card for another similar business and then provide that gift card to the person that purchased the first one to begin with. So, in a nutshell, you buy, say, $50 of a gift card to your favorite restaurant. You mail the receipt or you email the receipt to 3CDC. They buy one of the same value for a different restaurant, and you get the value. So you've bought $100 worth of great restaurants in Over the Rhine or downtown. I love this program. Love, love, love this program. And thank you again to P&G, 3CDC, and Empower for partnering together and trying to help those in the retail sector, the restaurant, the bar business, to help stay alive during this time so that we can go visit them in person in hopefully a relatively short period of time. I know that was a lot, but there's a lot going on. And I think the point is that so many people in this community are stepping up at a time when people are really struggling to say, what can we do to help? And so that leads into what we're talking about today with both Moira Weir from United Way and Tim McCartney from JFS. So I'm going to call Moira up first. There is a lot going on at United Way, and Moira is going to describe this, but there's this regional response fund that has been set up in direct response to what's happening right now. And so I'm going to let Moira elaborate on that and just make sure people are aware of what's happening. I think it's easy to get a little down. I think that's an understatement during this time, but there are some really positive stories in this community. And today we're just going to talk about a little bit of that. So thank you, Moira, for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner. So yes, the first thing I was going to talk about too is actually some of the things that United Way did initially before we actually were able to have this great partnership with Greater Cincinnati Foundation. We immediately advanced 140 to our 140 providers 1 month allocation ahead of time because we knew that the provider, particularly the provider community, was going to be struggling with what to do. So we did that, and we also made sure that we took away any of the restraints and reporting required around those dollars. We also immediately expanded a platform that we have available for providers so that they can really share information, make sure that we have all the ability to share and also learn from each other. Separately, we heard from many CEOs that they wanted a confidential platform to talk about the challenges that they were having, specifically as it would relate to if they had to do any downsizing or furloughs. So there's a confidential place for them to communicate and share things. We also knew that seniors were really struggling not to have connections with family, and we know how important that is for families and individuals to connect. So we were able to have someone donate iPads, and then we were able to deliver those iPads to many seniors within our community so they could then have that connection to families. So we really have tried to make sure that we've been very responsive and thinking through that. And part of what we're going to continue to do is be really responsive. We're going to be having a partnership with Job and Family Services in terms of how we can help families, specifically when they come in to apply for assistance and there might be a delay. How can we help meet that need with food or shelter or whatever that might be? So lots of exciting things happening there. But really, the fund has been such an amazing to experience how giving this community is. And we all know this community is very giving, but people have come together so quickly. And so we have this wonderful partnership with Greater Cincinnati Foundation where our goal is to raise over $5 million and to quickly respond and get the money right back into the community, particularly around the areas of housing, food security, childcare, and seniors. And we have really tried to make sure that we are listening closely what the needs are. We're putting the money directly back out. In fact, to date, we've already put it back into the community, about $2 million, specifically in those areas, and being very responsive. So we will continue to work really quickly to make sure that we're listening, and we really want to look at this as response, recovery, and revitalization, and then how do we step forward. The last thing I would like to mention that is really important is that folks should continue to call the 211 number at United Way. We have seen an increase in phone calls. We are working very hard to make sure we have current information, that we're sharing information. We want to continue to be that support. United Way has deep connections to the community and a long history of being responsive, and so we want to continue to do that. So please feel that you can use 211 as a resource, and we will continue to add the additional supports to make sure we can manage the call volume. So thank you.
Thank you, Moira. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to call Tim McCartney up. Tim is the acting director of JFS, and we are expanding some programming and some help at JFS, and I wanted Tim to elaborate on that this morning.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. At JFS, we have for 75 years been the safety net for this community, and we are very thankful today to be able to announce our JFS COVID-19 job response program. This program will be a $3 million investment into the than most county departments. JFS is funded almost exclusively by state and federal funds. And in conversations with our state partners, we've been assured that our allocations are secure, particularly as JFS is an essential function during this coronavirus catastrophe. And so we do not rely on sales tax revenue to perform our programs or to fund our staff. And so there's not a huge impact at this time, but of course we don't know what the future will bring based on how long this may last.
And how are you keeping social workers safe while still following up on cases?
We have outfitted all of our field workers with surfaces and cell phones, hand sanitizer, latex gloves, masks where appropriate. We are calling ahead to families that we would visit to see if there's anyone in the home that is sick. If they're sick, if there is someone in the home that's sick, staff are instructed to cancel the visit and do it via Skype or over the phone. We are actively taking aggressive cleaning measures within our building. We take the temperature of our staff as they enter the building. We have a drop box for staff to drop things in so that field workers don't have to come back into the building. So we are taking all the steps possible to ensure that our social workers, who are doing an absolutely fantastic job during this crisis, to serve the children and the families of this community.
You had any social workers that have either fallen ill or had to quarantine themselves?
We have had employees that have self-quarantined themselves based on advice of their physician.
Well, that appears to conclude our questions from reporters.
All right, very good. I have a point of clarity. So I was talking about the 3CDC card program. I do want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So customers purchase gift cards from a downtown Cincinnati business. I'm not sure I made that clear earlier. And so in order to get more information about which businesses we're talking about, I'm going to give you a website. It's Cincy, and Cincy is with a Y, cincycardconnection.com. cincycardconnection.com to provide some clarity as to who is eligible here for that program. But again, very grateful that those partners have stepped up. So thank you all for joining. I was on a call the other day, and there was a psychiatrist on the call, and she was talking a lot about mental health and how we need to pay attention to our own mental health and the mental health of others, because I think we're all, very stressed out at this time. And so she talked about how to use humor to combat some of the doldrums that we're facing as we all, stay at home. We're not socializing with one another in person, and it can get a little depressing. And so I'm going to give you a moment of levity here as we end. So I'm going to, so Jay Gates has been with us every day. He's a rock star. He's very popular right now. We need a hashtag for Jay. But I think because we're standing about 6 feet away from each other, you really can't tell how Jay and I look like twins when we're here together. So I just want to be sure everybody understands, first of all, our close relationship, even though we can't stand closely to one another. But I'm going to back up so you can get a better visual of our relationship here. There. So Jay's got me by about 1.5 feet. You can't tell. I love that I'm further in front, right? So you can't really tell. But anyway, I hope I've provided a moment of humor for those of you that are stuck at home or are working 24/7 on this crisis. Thank you so much for participating in these, and we'll be back on Monday. Thank you.